The Hilltop Glove podcast is sponsored by Mid Carolina Service Company. Mid Carolina Service Company is the first name to search for your residential or commercial HVAC needs in Lexington and surrounding areas. Call 803-356-4153 or visit midcarolinaserviceco.com for a non-obligation quote for service today. The Hilltop Glove podcast is sponsored by True Brilliance Entertainment. True Brilliance is a production, promotion, and management company dedicated to connecting artists and producers across Carolinas to music industry professionals. Check them out at hairandmilitary.com. The Hilltop Glove podcast is sponsored by Red Rooster Sports Bar and Grill. Red Rooster is located at 7500 Wilson Boulevard, Columbia, South Carolina. Visit redroostersportsbar.com or visit them on Facebook and Instagram at Red Rooster Sports Bar. Go where the winners go. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Hilltop Glove podcast. Today we have the pleasure of interviewing Mr. Wilson Bame. Say that right? Mm-hmm. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
All right. Wilson is the husband, arts activist, administrator, and of course, a dog lover. He is currently the manager of engagement at the Columbia Museum of Art, where he manages events for public audiences with a strong emphasis on partner programs and best thinking practices. He has a Bachelor's of Arts from University of South Carolina and a Master's of Arts from Winthrop University. Wilson is very active in the art community, and he's also a board member at the First Thursdays in Columbia, South Carolina. You have a great history of art events in Columbia. I have to say that First Thursdays really started me in the arts community.
Oh, nice.
Thank you for being on the board of that.
Oh, sure.
I'm so happy about First Thursdays. And it brings a lot of people together in the community.
It does. Yes. It's picking back up now, too.
Yeah.
COVID kind of got us off track a little bit like it did everyone else, but yeah, starting to pick back up. So it's nice.
That's good. How are you doing today, first off?
I'm doing good.
Good. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here, guys.
I mean, we see you out in the community, but it's good that you actually can come together and talk to us.
Yeah. It's a nice day.
Beautiful day, man. Come on.
So we've actually met a couple of times, but can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your upbringing? What was it like growing up as a creative and a lover of arts?
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town called Mullins, South Carolina.
Mullins.
These guys know about Mullins. Yeah, so that's in between Florence and Myrtle Beach. So I grew up in the PD region, small tobacco town, real country place. But, I loved growing up in Mullins. We had a lot to do until you got about high school and you start getting into trouble a little bit because you get bored. But no, Mullins was great. And it was a great place for a family to grow up. And I have two older sisters, Molly and Emily. Molly's a minister up in Clemson. Emily lives down in Beaufort with her family. And then my parents are still in Mullins. Okay. So I grew up there and, was around the arts all my life. My mom's a retired art teacher.
Oh, wow.
So she was my art teacher for...
your whole life.
Basically, my whole life. Yeah. So, I was a really good student until she was no longer in my school.
Oh, wow.
And then I started acting up a little bit. I'm not telling myself a little bit.
Tell yourself. Go ahead.
Right? But no, I was a good, I was a good kid. I was going to say I was a good student, but I was a fine student. I was good there. And so I grew up in the arts. My dad's an entrepreneur. He owns a door and window business.
Okay.
And he's working on a patent right now for like a hurricane-proof doggy door, things like that. So I come from a really creative background. Yeah. And so, I kind of get that kind of thing naturally.
Yeah.
So, I grew up, around the arts, obviously, because my mom was, constantly, we would go to museums and stuff and things like that as a young kid. So I've always had a great appreciation for it.
So how does it feel being the only boy?
It was fine.
They didn't beat you up?
Not after a while. I started getting bigger than them at some point.
That's what I was about to say. He shot up. He shot up so he could defend himself.
But it was fine. My mom always calls me the boy. But
that's how you know you're the only one, and that's how you know
the boy. Yeah,
you're the boy.
Yeah, yes. but So it was fun.
She said, "I don't believe that.
So,
I don't believe any of that."
I mean, having two older sisters, they No, never mind. We'll cut that. You were wanting me to elaborate.
I do.
I mean, you're going to have to ask me more questions then.
No. I'm good. I'm good. I don't want them to get mad at you.
It'll be fine.
He had me acting up over here because, of course, all right, this is Mr. Of course, we know Wilson.
Right.
We know him for years.
Yes.
It's not, so it's funny hearing him talk about it. So like, go ahead, elaborate some more. But nah, we've known him for years. We enjoyed going over there and bothering him, his moms and stuff like that. Like his mother taught my little brother art. So
wow.
we know him for a while.
Yeah.
But moving on, I'm up here laughing.
And by the way, I love my sisters, by the way.
Yeah, he loves them. He loves them.
Yeah,
They're
we have a
cool.
great relationship. Yeah.
Yes. Of course, man, art, the importance of art and art spaces in the community. I know we just got through with an interview talking about community and the importance of it, not to mention interactions between the folks in the community and artists. And so, easiest question in the world, man, how important is art to you?
To me personally, honestly, I got out of the arts for a while. You know, I got my undergrad in media arts from USC.
Yeah.
And I had a job right after college that, you know, I didn't love. So I got out of the arts for a little while.
Yeah.
And for probably 4 or 5 years, I wasn't doing anything art related.
Yeah.
But I would still kind of sketch at home and do these kind of things. And the more and more I thought about it, the more I realized that I need to be doing this stuff more often. I need to be surrounded by art. This is what I love. This is what I know.
Yeah.
And as soon as I started kind of working towards that goal, like being involved in the arts again, that's really when my professional life started turning around.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you know, what I did is I volunteered. I volunteered at a homeless shelter and taught an art class.
Oh, man.
And I ended up doing that for about 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And so first year I kind of helped out with it. And then second year they asked me to do it. And I said, no, I don't think I can do this. And I talked to some friends who were like, dude, you can do it. It's fine. Just, okay, all right. So I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
So I ended up being there for a while and helping out. And it did a lot for me in terms of perspective.
Yeah.
But it also, I mean, to go back to the part about community, I mean, the arts are something that anyone can enjoy.
Yeah.
That, you know, can be translated across any sort of invisible lines within the community.
Good point.
And so, you know, being around people that are less fortunate than the others that I'm maybe around normally, you know, you end up learning a lot about what we all have in common and the desires that we all have just as human beings. And so, and the arts as a catalyst for that is really powerful.
Yeah.
So that was something that really kind of got me moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
And then I met my wife, Annie. I was waiting tables at that time. And
Where were you waiting tables at?
We were waiting. I met her at Harper's. You remember Harper's in High Points?
Yeah.
Yeah. I worked there for like 3 years, I think. But Annie was working there for the summer. And so we met there and we, you know, her last day of work, we ended up like going out and like we kind of started
dating. That's how I met my wife. Basically, like the last day she was there, I was like, man, I was not even trying to bother with her.
Oh, so now it was like, now says she's not working here.
Right.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
Shoot your shot.
Like,
yeah, well, I'm 6.5 years older than Annie.
See?
You know, and that time she was 21.
My wife too.
Yeah. And I was like, you know, it's probably not a good idea for me to try to date someone that's younger than me. But turns out she was more mature than I was.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Same thing. Yep. Same exact
You
thing.
older than Lisa?
No, I'm older than Lisa, but I don't got their problem though.
Yeah. We got different. Yeah, we're older by more than 5 years.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Yeah. So best thing I ever did was go out that night. So yeah. So, but she convinced me to go back to school because I was applying for jobs here and there and everywhere.
Yeah.
And I wasn't getting anywhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just need some more knowledge. I know what I want to do, kind of. I know which direction I want to go, but I don't know how to get there. I need some more knowledge. Yeah. So I started looking at grad schools. My mom, you know, being the art teacher she was, she introduced me to someone who worked with the education system. His name's Scott Hockman. He's still in the community now. And I saw Scott yesterday. And he was like, man, sounds like you really want to be involved in like, you know, arts administration. Like that sounds like you sound like an arts administrator. Yeah. I said, what's that?
Break it down because I'm very creative and I like the arts, but I'm good at a bunch of different things like painting, drawing, but also I like to tell people about events. So break down arts administration for people.
Yeah.
So really it's the arts administration is really the behind the scenes stuff. So everything from ideation of some sort of program that you want to produce, to reaching out to artists, communicating with them, working out contracts and all that kind of stuff. But then there's the grant side of things, all of that. So when, like the arts administration degree that I got from Winthrop, they teach you about all that kind of stuff. So, you start from management, grant writing,
that is one heck of a skill. That
community engagement.
Yeah.
All of these things are things that you focus on in that program. And so it really gave me this broad knowledge that I really needed. And as soon as I was in there and we were having conversations with classmates, I was like, man, this is exactly what
Where
I like
you
doing.
need to be.
Yeah. Didn't that feel good to know that things were clicking? Because I know, of course, our podcast is about millennials learning how to adult and learn how to do things proper. And sometimes it takes trial and error. And even like with your story, you thought, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to work. I'm going to go make money. This is what I'm going to do. And then you had that epiphany where you're like, no, I need to go and continue on in this path of education to get me where I want to be. Could you explain as well to our audience some of because you said your mother was a factor in that, and of course your wife, but for yourself, what steps did you take when you figured out, okay, I want to go back to school? What were some of the practical things that you had to do to go back after being out for a while?
Well, I had to apply for a grant. I mean, not a grant, but a scholarship.
That's what I'm saying,
I'm sorry, not a scholarship. I had to pay for it. I didn't, have the money to pay for it.
That's what I was wondering. That's what a lot of people, it costs money.
Student loans is what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
So, I had to apply for student loans and do all that. But basically, I looked into the different programs that I wanted to go into. I'd heard about Winthrop, but I didn't know a ton about it.
Yeah.
But as soon as I started reading about it, it really felt like the right fit. So I called and talked with someone up there about it. And then I just went through the process of applying. What was really nice about that program is that you could work full time while you were doing it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's a part-time program.
Yeah.
And this is a great advertisement for the program. So it's a halftime program.
Okay.
So you work full time. It's a requirement that you're working a certain amount of hours in a nonprofit, but hopefully an arts nonprofit.
Of course.
And then at that time, they've moved mostly to virtual now.
Yeah.
But at that time, they had a single weekend per month that you would go and have in-person classes.
Okay.
So I would go up there to Rock Hill on Friday after work. I'd leave work early at like 3:30, and I'd go up there and we'd have a class for like 3 hours on Friday night, and then we'd have a class all day Saturday.
Oh, okay.
And so that gave us an opportunity to kind of be with our peers and to be with our instructors, and really and to hear from individuals that came and spoke in the class and stuff.
Oh, excellent.
But it was, for me, that was kind of the thing that set it apart from everything else.
Yeah, that's very cool. Very unique.
I've never heard of a program like that.
It was really great. I'm not sure they're doing it that way anymore, which I was disappointed to hear because that was a huge factor for me.
Yeah.
But I mean, still the essence of it's there, and they're still meeting virtually with their classmates and things like that. But at the museum, my boss Jackie and Dana, who's also in our department, Jackie has a degree from there. I have a degree from there, and Dana is 75% done with her degree.
Joe, we throw in the house,
right? So that's kind of the essence of the program. Yeah. It took 2 years.
That's not bad.
It's full year. So you work through the summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
We even had like trips and stuff. We would like go for a weekend and go to Charleston or go to Winston-Salem.
Yeah.
Wow.
Excellent.
See, being an artist is not easy. So like I commend you for that, getting back into the art community and being a creative and finding your niche is like kind of the hardest thing.
Yeah, that was hard. I thought about teaching, and then I went to one what's the program called?
That's what you said. I thought about teaching.
Yeah, I thought about it for about 10 minutes. And then,
I've read that word, thought.
Yeah. That wasn't for me, but
teaching is a very admirable profession, it takes a special individual to be able to do it well.
Yeah.
I always tell people that everybody ain't made. Look, I want to teach, but everybody cannot do it well. So you will not see me in anybody's classroom. No, because some of these children, they could get in trouble. I'm not trying to go to jail for nobody's children.
I actually was presented with the opportunity to teach art this matter of fact, 2 months ago, starting in August. And I was like, no. I got way too much going on right now to even slow down, to even teach kids. And then I know like how my how I feel about the kids. You know, like if you talk back to me and I'm, you know.
There's the one rule. Don't talk crap about the kids now.
Yeah.
But
that's
it's
the
like,
point. So
that's
I don't
this
wanna
new
break it.
generation,
We don't
like
wanna
how do
break
you,
it.
you know, because we're
I don't know how
older.
to talk
So
to
it's
kids
like,
at all. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Do you know how to do that?
I don't know how to talk to 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, the younger they are, the
I can be
better.
silly all day. But,
right.
But you know what's so funny about that? Remember, like at one point we were all kids.
I know.
Right.
And it's especially funny, especially us three,
Yeah.
because we were all kids at the same time. And we knew each other at the same time. And it's weird thinking about that. Like, you know what? I can't really, I struggle talking with kids, and I used to be a kid. And nobody really thinks about that, right? We don't think about
We
that.
need to do that on the podcast.
Yeah, we
Have somebody,
a
a
seriously.
psychologist, therapist,
I'm
something.
talking about, especially this age. You ready? Like it said, like that 12 to 19 years old.
Oh, my.
But like after and before that, I'm cool. Like, I mean, give me the young children. I can deal with them.
Yeah.
Anybody over the age of 19,
older
cool.
ones?
Because I used to work at the university system with a program at the Department of Education. So it's fine. I can speak to them all day. It's that weird 7-year time frame. But when they're just becoming a teenager and when they're about to leave that teenage experience, those are different. Them children are different at that age. It's a different communication technique.
It's different because even like with my 9 to 5, it took me some time to get adjusted to it. But I always had a passion for working with like teenagers. Anyway,
He does,
working with young adults. And my biggest thing has always been, I don't want these kids to go out here and be successful and to make a song about me being a hater.
What did they call you, first
Dusty.
off? Just in case I
Don't
hear
let them
it.
call you Dusty.
What do they call you? How do they, Mr.
No, they
what?
just call me Mr. Staggers.
Yeah,
That's what they
okay.
call
Mr.
me.
Staggers,
It's
yeah.
cool. You know, so I used to really get really big. I used to have like really get really upset about, oh, that's my dad. That's my dad.
Yeah.
Don't call me that.
Don't call me that.
But no, but that's like my whole thing. I'm like, I'm not gonna let these jokers sit up here, write a song, and then talk about how I was somebody that was hating
He was
them,
hating on me
or
from growing up.
or I couldn't hold, or I held them back, or I said they couldn't do it. You're not going to put me in no rap lyrics. You're not, and that's really it. That's really the basis off of it.
Fully supportive at
Yeah.
all
You're
points.
fully supportive at
all
all times.
points.
Like
all
whatever you want
times.
to do, homie. That's it. So
Yep.
you ain't gonna say
Even
nothing
if I
back
don't
to me.
understand it. Like,
Exactly.
You
No,
do that.
That's even the most important time is when you don't understand it to give them support.
Yeah,
And I've
That's
learned
it.
that. I've learned that a lot, especially working, again, like work with upward bound programs and et cetera. And you're watching these kids come in and they have ideas, aspirations, just give them support. Speaking of which is funny because it connects into the rest of this question. But there was one student we had in our upward bound program and he didn't want to go to college, but he was in upward bound. So they were trying to put him on a college track.
Oh, yeah.
And Kevin, you know this guy. This is my man, Kid HD, the Wiz, who actually does, he shoots videos now, music videos.
Yeah.
He is wildly successful.
Wow.
He said, you know what? I'm not going to college. I'm going to end up taking this route. Like he did, he tried to find some other education. He went to SCAD, ended up going to SCAD, got his degree in film photography and film production. And from there, went out to the West Coast, started doing music videos and stuff like that. And then from there, now he's going back and forth, East Coast, West Coast, just dealing with different,
Nice.
and he's wildly successful. Man.
Now
and-
that's somebody we might need to bring on
we
and
have to
talk.
speak to him
Yeah.
because he was one of those folks that very non-traditional upbringing and then trying to figure out if college was what was for him. And, you know, his sister and stuff, they did the college thing. He was like, I couldn't do it. But it made sense because all he needed was support. And the coolest thing was that support structure there. They told him, hey, we know you're in the college preparatory programs and they want you to go to college. I don't care what our numbers are, i.e. because you're supposed to get certain amount of, you know, the students have to matriculate.
Yeah.
They said, do what actually makes sense for you. And so they supported him in going that route.
Yeah.
And man, I'm like, man, it makes so much sense. And it leads into this question of, do you believe having spaces to create art in the community is necessary? Because that's how he was able to get onto a path, was being involved in community art programs and stuff like that. Somebody said, you know what, this is what I want to do. I don't want to be an accountant. I want to get behind this camera.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, yes. Short answer is yes. But in the schools, I mean, obviously my mom was an art teacher and I saw the importance of art in schools.
Yep.
But I mean, to give kids that option and that creative outlet is the first thing you need to do.
Yeah.
But then as those kids turn into adults and they decide they want to be creatives or they're even exploring the idea of being a creative, they need somewhere to do that.
Yes.
A place, an actual place.
Yeah. And I love it that places like Richland Library are giving free opportunity with that. But then, you know, I worked at Taps Art Center for a long time and we had studio space there.
Yes.
And we worked a lot with artists. And to basically put on events for free. And, our whole goal was to, give them the opportunity to maybe even make a little bit of money and to be that kind of creative entrepreneur. And then, it kind of sucks that TAPS, isn't around anymore, but, I think there's still room in our community for more of that. And it's happening. It kind of happens organically. You have, stakeholders in the community that decide like, hey, we still need this around. So let's make it happen.
Yeah.
So that's happening now. And so having access to those types of places, it did cost money for artists to rent spaces. But if you the means and the way to do it, whether it's you're saving up from your 9-to-5 job and you're just using the evenings to create your stuff, and then it's an excellent thing to have.
And that's the real art story. That's the real artist story.
Yeah.
You'll have a job here so you can do what you want on the other side. And you have to be able to balance those two things off. Yeah. And I think a lot of young and up and coming artists, that's one of the issues that they have. And I know I've seen it just right there, right in the front of everything. Just watch people deal with this stuff. But saying, hey, I want to be an artist. This is what I want to do. But I hate working. And I'm like, okay.
Well, you're gonna have a hard time doing anything.
How are we gonna fund your livelihood and what you want to do, your goals? Because one thing that always blew my mind, I always tell people is the art costs money.
Yeah.
And people are like, what do you mean? I'm like, go buy, get some supplies. Like, get the tools you need. Find the time and the space that you need to actually create your vision, and you'll see what I mean. It costs money. And that's one of the things that people think that art is a free commodity, and it isn't. And that's one reason why I always think it's really important to explain that to community so that the community understands the importance of supporting it. So that when you do throw these cool events, just like First Thursday, et cetera, or other events that you have at the Columbia Museum of Art, like we really do want people to come out and support it and mingle and get to see the artists and et cetera, and get to know the personalities so that you have some kind of buy-in to what's going on. Because at the end of the day, the economy, especially with artists, it can't support itself on its own. It can't just support itself from the vision of the artist. You need buy-in.
Right.
And I want to know, is that something that you have to deal with? And I know you have to, but how do you deal with it? And how do you try to figure out how to get buy-in from the community to come out to the events and spread the word?
I definitely can speak on that from my experience at TAP, because that's really where the challenge was, because it's a very low-funded organization, had a large space to fill out, and we really did need buy-in from the community, and a lot of the times it wasn't there. We had a lot of support from artists and the artist community, but that's not always the people that have the money that can help you sustain.
Yeah, that's the point.
To your point, So that's a huge challenge. At a place like the museum, it's a well-established institution in the state.
You got funding.
And we have funding that was there before I ever stepped foot in the door.
Exactly.
And so, I definitely count my blessings there, because we're able to create things and we're able to host artists and do all these things because we have that amazing support. And we got to continue to work. We have a whole department just for, funding. Yeah. And they're hitting the grindstone every single day. Hard. And it's a tough job. I can never do that, because I am not a salesman. My dad's a great salesman, but I am not. Like, you want this? No, okay, all right, that's fine. I'm terrible at that. So I'm glad that we had people to do that at at the museum.
People wouldn't think that there's salesmen at a museum either. People don't think about that.
Yeah, you got to sell it, and I can sell an idea, all day, and that's kind of what my job is in a lot of ways, is to sell this idea or this program or this artist. Like, hey, this is why I want to bring this artist in, and we hope that if we do enough work in the front end, then whatever we produce is going to sell itself.
Exactly.
Can you talk about how the impact of TAP's closing, how it affected the community?
Well, it definitely impacted Main Street.
Yeah.
You can't.
So really, you look at First Thursdays now, which is building up. We've, TAP's Art Center is no longer there. Grapes and Gallery's gone. Anastasia and Friends is gone. And those were kind
of the same block.
They were all in the same, 2 blocks of Main Street.
They would fill it.
And that gave the program the diversity that it needed to be able to move around and really see. In the museum, we've got amazing artwork. Right now, we've got a Botticelli in the galleries. Yeah. And, and that's Italian Renaissance type stuff.
Exactly.
And that's amazing. But, when we finally have a couple of places like Soundbites Gallery, Soundbites Restaurant, they have like mini galleries in there by Jasper Project now.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So they're opening them first Thursdays, and that gives us an opportunity to see local artists. Because, you're not, we have a small gallery that we use for local art partnerships and exhibitions.
Of course.
But outside of that and outside of pop-up stuff that's happening, there's not really anywhere else to see the art on Main Street. So, it definitely impacted Main Street a lot. And they were able to move down to 5 Points, and we still have some of the studios there. But we had 30 studios on Main Street.
Wow. I would have never known that.
Couldn't even tell,
we had 30
Even
studios.
going to First Thursday, I would have never known it. 30 studios.
Yeah, we had 30 studios there. So, we went from having 30 to 6 or whatever it is now. Yeah. Under 10 galleries. And so, think about the now all of a sudden these artists are looking for spaces, and where do they look? So, I mean, it definitely was had a negative impact on the community in that way. So,
man, because especially once I came back here from Charleston, that's one of the things that I noticed. And I was talking to Kevin about it when I left, what it looked like as opposed to what it looks like now here in the town. And those spaces that we had before, those are one of the things I used to always tout to people about Columbia. I was like, hey, you know what? Columbia, it may not have like this crazy Charleston vibe, but they have spaces. That was my big thing back then. I was like, there are spaces. Yeah. So when those spaces close, you really get to see their value to the community and why they're so necessary. And you were speaking on this with that point, and we'll move this into this next question, but inclusion, equity, and equal opportunity. And I know you're talking about diversity within the art scene and the reason why those spaces are so important. So you can give people access to local artists and exhibitions so they can see what the people near them in their community are doing. Within the arts community, though, do you believe that equal opportunities are being provided to all artists in Columbia? If not, how could we move into a more equitable community for artists?
Yeah. This portion of the podcast is brought to you by Lynx Recording Studio. Lynx is a premier audio and video recording studio in the greater Charleston area. With 4 completely different booths, multiple peripherals, and 4 producers, they have the ability to service all facets of audio and video creativity. If you need to record a song, a podcast, create a demo, or even take headshots and complete drops for a Hollywood film, we've done it. Call us at 843-879-9386 or search us online at lynxrecordingstudios.com. That's LYNXrecordingstudios.com.
I think it depends on who you ask.
I think that's true. Yeah. It's gonna be different.
For me, from my perspective, I think from my position, I try really hard to make sure that that's a possibility.
Right.
You
really do the work. Yeah.
Oh, I appreciate it. And, it's a big goal of mine to be a reality in our community. But you can't speak for every space in the community. I think every community probably struggles with this. And I think it all comes back to education and communication. You guys are doing a great job of connecting people and communicating with the people that and to get people, to let people know like these opportunities are out there and hey, I can. You're like connecting dots and bringing people together. And that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to create equity is to bring people together and let people have conversations.
In a grassroots way, not from top down, right?
Right. In the grassroots way is beautiful. It's a beautiful way to do that. I think the top down is also necessary too, though.
But for more so like foundational things, right? That's how I always try to think about it. Like it's easier for a community to get together and say grassroots. All right, you all, we're going to get together. We have this space. We want you to come in, enjoy this space, use the space, et cetera. But
you run into that problem again that we were talking about a little while ago. Yeah.
And that's where the top comes in. We're like, all right, from the top, do y'all have some funding? So some computers in this space. We need lights. There needs to be water. those little things, those utilities, you need those as well. And so sometimes you have to have, that's where the top comes in. But like you said, the idea of communicating and connecting everybody together, that does have to be a grassroots thing so people buy in.
Yeah. And just to add to that too, is that I think institutions like, the Columbia Museum of Art and other, places that have that funding, I think is important for them. I think they have a certain responsibility to give access.
Good word.
To give access to artists that might not have a space or might not have the network to really get their work
Can you
out
name
there.
a couple of those places? Like 701 Whaley?
Yeah, well, I think 701 CCA is going to be great. It's going to be with Caitlin coming on board now. I think it's going to be excellent. Michaela's been doing an awesome job. Love Michaela. Yeah. And I think, I was thinking about this morning about how the arts, I think for visual arts especially, I think we're probably going to have a really excellent kind of in availability and I don't know. I sense that it's going to be a little bit better.
I'm optimistic about it.
I'm very optimistic. Yeah. With Michaela at If Art which is Mike Brown gallery now. Caitlin over at 701. We've got stuff going on at the CMA, and then we have some artists from TAPS that are starting to do studio space.
Oh I just heard about that Gemini space that they're trying to do behind.
By the
alternate routes or something. I mean, it's a Gemini space that they're trying to.
I think it's over by Rosewood, like the airport.
The airport.
Owensville. Yeah, and with them working on their space, we've got a lot of entrepreneurial creatives in town that are making it possible for everyone else to really kind of grow in the community and stuff. So, I'm very optimistic about it.
Yeah.
And the neat thing about what you just said too is over the past couple months, of course, we've been working with different creatives, of course, for our podcast, more or less creatives of color.
Yep.
But one of the things that I'm starting to realize is there are a lot of individuals in our community that aren't even aware about the resources and opportunities downtown.
Yeah.
Because it's like, and I've talked, and this is a kind of something kind of a theory that I developed over the past couple of years, and I've talked with several other individuals about this. As a matter of fact, I was talking with Preach about this about last month, earlier this month. And it's like when it comes to the urban community in Columbia, especially when it comes to anything creative, it's like you have two different cultures. You have your downtown culture, and then you have like I don't even want to say, it's like your outer rim. So usually everybody who is associated with downtown, they pretty much all know each other. So we all go to the same events. We're all at 701 Whaley. We're all at First Thursday. We're all familiar with each other. But there's a whole another group of creatives on the outside that they do events in the community, but they might be out in the Northeast,
West Columbia,
and different stuff like that. And they don't even realize the opportunities that are down
in the city.
And like we've had conversations like amazing individuals. As a matter of fact, we had one on just recently, Jay.
Jayana Carter, she's a photographer.
And we were talking because, a lot of stuff that she does is very similar to what we do content-wise. And I was having a conversation with her, and she didn't know anything about any of the projects, even any of the events that were going on with the museum.
And that's why I like working with One Columbia, because they're like the hub of all artists. And I didn't even know about that. Someone put me on Dalvin with Isms of Art, put me on to One Columbia.
Wow.
And once I found out what they do, I was like, oh my gosh, like I need to be on your newsletter. I need to get all the information.
If I'm not mistaken, One Columbia is still a city program.
Okay.
I mean, that's still run by the city. I believe it was started by the mayor's office. When Steve Benjamin was mayor, right? I think early on when he came on board. And so with government funding, I mean, I think it's really important for that stuff to continue, and it's a great resource, and it's really important for folks like that to exist. And it's because it's hard to do it on your own, you guys can tell people, and we can tell people, but
we need help.
But so I think creating those connections, people that can create those connections is really important. Yeah. Did I get to, I don't think I got to the point you were making.
No, it's just, so pretty much what it is how do we find ways to, like I said, those that are on the outside who don't know, like what are some of the ways we can kind of help serve as a bridge to connecting them with opportunities and even resources, even supporting what it is that you guys are doing.
Yeah.
At the museum. I mean, that's not even the museum, but even other things that are located more centrally in
to
town.
attract them closer
to bring
to
them,
the hub.
bring them to the city.
From the periphery. Because they're out there in the periphery doing this stuff by themselves. And it's interesting. I know Kevin tells me stuff time we talk about this. It's like they have great, excellent ideas on what they want to do, but they don't use all of the available resources. And sometimes it's not out of ignorance. It's there. I guess it's a feeling of, am I supposed to be there? And I'm like, yeah, you're supposed to be here.
Yeah,
right.
And that's exactly
like,
why we did that. Well, when Columbia, we did the arts initiative. I was a artist facilitator, and we went to different places and asked them, why don't you come to stuff downtown? It's because of parking. It's because you don't know about it. Why do you feel excluded from certain things in the city?
Yeah. For me, like sometimes I just have to accept that I don't know the answer to stuff. And I got to start talking to people, and I have to talk to people more often. I think it's important for places that have the access to speak with members of the community. And the more we can do that, I think the closer we're going to get to those answers.
Okay.
And this is a weird thing to say since you said that, right? Always, you know how you like to stay in the creative aspect, but is this like a boring, like Chamber of Commerce type community talk? Like you have to make sure that you do, you know what I mean? And that's a good talk. I don't mind
like
those.
A forum.
I like those regular ones because those are safe. I was then you're just bringing people in you know what I mean? Because you're just bringing people in to go. You're just bringing people in to say, okay, so tell me what, like, do you need to have parking here? Do we need would we like events on a Friday evening or a Saturday morning?
Yeah.
Like, how can we coincide this to make it work best to bring everybody together?
Like, is it transportation?
Yeah, what is it? We need to send buses to you. What do we need to go? What do we need to do? Because the people exist, the want for it exists. And it's funny because when you bring the people out and they actually go to the events, they love them.
They have a good time.
And they enjoy themselves. And that's when you know, okay, it's not that they don't want to come here. We gotta figure out what's stopping them from getting. Do you know what I mean?
And then once you find out what that information is, you got to actually do that thing. And not just have it for the sake of having the conversation.
That's it. That's why I said this is one of those boring Chamber of Commerce talks. Right. Where you got to bring those people in and say, okay, so how much money does it cost to do this? Wait, this. Okay, we're going to try to set this up for y'all. We're going to send around a petition. Whoever wants to do it, y'all sign it. Because now the cool thing is you can do those things electronically now. You don't have to go walk from door to door. So there has to be a way to do it. And especially with somebody like Jay, because that's crazy. I was like, wow, how do you not? You're you. That's how I thought when I was looking at it. I was like,
here. You got to really be out here on the ground. Like I said, I started at First Thursdays, and then I signed up for a ton of newsletters, and then I just get stuff to my email. Then I started going to like 701, Koger Center. You just started going to Noma.
Noma Warehouse.
It's just a bunch of different places that Columbia has a lot going on, but people just don't know about it.
True,
and I'm like, how do you not know about this stuff? Like,
well, I think that's the thing too. It's like when I wasn't part of the art community, I didn't know anything that was happening in the art community.
That's what I was going to say.
Like I didn't know. And like you've got to, if you really want to be involved, sometimes you got to take the extra step to do your own research. But it's up to us to put that information out there too. And to build the type of programs that aren't completely monolithic and
good point,
repetitive. Good point. People want variety, but people also want to see themselves. You know,
that's hard to do.
That part.
That's hard to do.
I want to see people that look like me. That that
I want to see people from my region. I want to see people that like the type of food, music, etc. And not even like, and sometimes it's not even like it has to be an exact, like an exact copy or repetitive thing of what you like in your culture, but something that can give you something you can. There has to be something in it that you can attach yourself to or log on, like link yourself to. And then you can dive into the rest of it. Like I was teasing, like if you know about how you say like certain what's the name of that rock and Kevin they made Cult of Personality. What's the name of the band? Cult of Personality. I forget the name of the.
Wait,
everybody knows the name of this.
XS?
No.
Who is that?
Something color something. Watch this, y'all. We got to do this.
How are you going to do this online?
Watch this.
I got to find it out. I had to use the G word.
Mm-hmm.
Living Color?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
right. Because it's a black rock band that won a Grammy. Like, people don't realize this. One thing that was really cool about them at the time when they came out was that everybody could link onto them, because it didn't matter if you're black, white, Hispanic, or Asian. You would look at it and say, first of all, it's rock music. I like rock music, so I'm going to listen to it. Yeah. And if you're a black person, you're like, oh, it's black people. They're singing rap music. Let me go listen to them. And then you listen to it. Oh, it's a cool song. And then all the wrestlers now, because of course they use this song over and over again in everything because it's that popular. Yeah. And you realize, okay, so what did they do? They hit on a cultural nexus. They found everybody and got them together in all these different points. And that's how they became so popular. Because if you think about it, you don't hear people talk about them right now anymore. But at the time when they came out, it was a big thing, because they were like, wait, how did they bring all these people together? Because their shows used to be wild. And everybody would be at the show. It'd be a big melting pot, look like Brazil, right? Because they hit a cultural nexus.
So now my thing is this, and I don't want to dumb down what you're saying, the conversation. So essentially, it's sort of like a Lil Nas X type of phenomenon.
Yes. He's a cultural nexus. Yeah, he's a cultural nexus. And so, like, I know we have something like that in Columbia that we could use that could take everybody, catch them, and bring them into. You know what? I have something that's related to that. I do too. I have a dog in that fight. Let me go and join it, because, again, I'll harp on this again. Coming from Charleston, Columbia has space. Mm-hmm. I like space. I forgot about how nice it was to have space. You know what I mean? Like, everything doesn't have to just go up, and everything's not crunched in, and you're like up on somebody. You can like literally go to a venue or a space and actually go in there and enjoy yourself and relax. Mm-hmm. And that's so nice, because I know my wife and I will go out certain places, and I'll just be happy to be in the place. Why are you so happy? I'm like, man, it's nice. Got space. I can move around.
You can move around, network.
You can network. You can talk to people. And it's not like that in other places in South Carolina. So that's one of the things I think that Columbia still has on a Greenville or a Spartanburg or a Charleston, are the spaces that you have, where they're located, and the size. You can take advantage of that. Because one thing that blew my mind, I keep about this, is that when Jay-Z and Beyonce came here for their tour, they put 60,000 people in Williams-Brice. And I forgot that Williams-Brice can hold up to 88,000 people.
I was there at that concert.
I was in the front. Let me just throw something at Beyonce. Like, I just want to, can you look this way? That's how close I was.
That's how I know we can do it.
We can do it.
Right.
We have and I was explaining this to my wife, because she was like, wow, let's about this football game. I said, this USC game. Watch how many people get in here. It's a nexus. Exactly. It doesn't matter your race, heritage, etc. I want to go see the Gamecocks play. Mm-hmm. I'm going. And you got to imagine, in this area, if we can draw up to close to 100,000 people in one space, don't even talk about the state fair. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can bring all that in. That's how you know, okay, there is a possibility for this. There is opportunity for success.
Hopefully you can cut that out.
Yeah.
Do you think we have an art event like that? Besides like the hip hop thing, the festival, Nickelodeon?
I think we got a lot of opportunities to do that for sure. I mean, I can speak on my own type of program. So like Arts and Drafts is
great.
I think that's a really great example of where we have an opportunity to kind of have a nexus event. So, with this one I have coming up, you want to pull up?
Yeah, let's go for it. That's a good segue.
So for Arts and Drafts, that's kind of my goal and my challenge every time is to bring in artists and bring in community partners that give us this. I'm thinking visually here. I really like the word nexus, actually, of different cultural backgrounds and perspectives and all this, kind of bring it all together and to where you have certain touch points, certain access points for everybody in the community.
Exactly.
It was fun. I'm not gonna lie. It was so much fun.
It was so much fun.
And so that's. I mean, Arts and Drafts is a huge, fun event. Yep. I mean, first of all, you got food and drink, which will bring everyone there. But then we have the art, and then when you start talking about bringing in artists and tour guides and things like that,
there's speakers. You know how dope that is especially, and this is what I'm talking about, like with an Nexus, you don't have to be an art head to get in there and understand what's going on. You can have somebody explain it to you and break it down for you on a simple level. You can sit there, ask questions, and there's somebody to answer the questions. You have so much engagement at that event.
It's a lot going on from the DJs and then the stuff outside. I remember my first Arts and Drafts event was I went to about 4 years ago. And one of my friends from Africa came to visit, and I took her to that event. She was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so much fun!" I was
That's
like,
awesome.
"Girl, that's my first time coming. I'm coming back."
It's fun, man. Yeah. So that's what we want to create, is this opportunity for everyone in the community to come together at one time and be able to enjoy what they came to see, but be introduced to something completely different that they didn't expect.
Especially hands-on stuff, the hands-on activities you guys have. I love
was
it.
Fun.
Yeah.
You don't even know how much fun it is to take torn up pieces and cut up pieces of magazines and make art with it. And then you get to take something home from the event that you created. Man, they making shirts there fresh on the spot.
Oh yeah, we're doing that. Yeah, you're gonna be able to make your own shirt this time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You can make your own shirt.
Yeah. We're still figuring it out, but it'll be ready by November 11th.
All right, go ahead and drop that. Matter of fact, I mean, this is time for shameless promotion. You have any events upcoming that?
Yeah, actually, there's this program called Arts and Drafts. Yeah, Friday, November 11th. It's from 7 to 11, but it's just kind of our art party that we have twice a year. Yeah. We're going to have 3 bands playing out on the plaza. We've got Autocorrect, which is a local band. We've got Leon and the Ascension, which is an awesome soul band. They're out of Rock Hill. And then Monsoon is out of Athens. They're an awesome 2-piece indie band. Yeah. And then Preach Jacobs will be there.
Preach.
He's there. He's going to be DJing for us.
Okay.
He's actually putting some playlists together for us too. Some mixes that'll play in between the sets too. So that'll be cool. We've got our Unique Perspectives tour this time is from Bullets and Band-Aids.
We all part of
board
Bullets
member.
and
Board member. Nice. And it's own Veterans Day. So we're hearing from Bullets and Band-Aids, but we're also hearing from some of the staff at the CMA that are veterans.
Oh, wow.
And they're going to go around. They're actually from our security team. So they're around the art all the time. So we'll get to hear some of their perspectives on the art too.
The tour?
The tour,
The tour,
Yeah, so we'll have 2 separate tours. We'll have a Bullets and Band-Aids one, and then we'll have a CMA staff one.
Okay.
And then we've got live comedy. We've got Topher Riddle, Jen Snyder, and Christian Williams all doing comedy at one point during the night. Nesis is a really cool dance performance that's happening up in the loft. And it's with Moving Body Dance Company. And they're a really awesome dance company in town. And this is an interactive thing. So you can actually
join.
It was like a PlayStation or Xbox things that had like the little ball in the end of the remote.
Yeah, the PlayStation.
Yeah, do you remember what that's called?
The motion thing.
It was a motion detector. Yeah. Anyway, they use that in their dance interactive. And so you can actually create.
You're messing me up right now.
Visuals on your own.
So
yeah, they're going to be upstairs and kind of instructing and dancing and all that kind of stuff. We'll have our art activities, which includes, printing your own T-shirts. We'll have some other individual ones kind of inspired by the art in the galleries.
Hunt.
Yeah, we do a scavenger hunt every time.
I'm already there for the scavenger hunt.
I know.
Yeah. We put together a scavenger hunt each time for Arts and Drafts. And then we'll have some community partners there too. So the Women's Empowerment Network,
I worked with
Women's Rights Empowerment Network, and then Bullets and Band-Aids. And we're hoping one other one will join us too. And then we'll have lots of food. The Wig, it's actually the Wig's last Arts and Drafts because the Wig's closing on Main Street.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I know. That made
so
me
they're closing at the end of the year, close to the end of the year. So this will be their last Arts and Drafts.
Wow.
So it'll be a party. We'll be celebrating.
It'll be a big one.
Well, the Wig's been part of Arts and Drafts since the beginning of Arts and Drafts.
That's crazy.
Like a sponsor, So
a partner,
Can you also talk about First Thursdays and how about the people coming
First
to
Thursday? I don't know who's coming in the next couple months, but we're working on live music out on the plaza. But then the big thing about about First Thursday is that it's up and down the block. I mean, you have everything from the 1200 block to the 1700 block. And, we encourage all of our neighbors on Main Street to put together their own things. So, Bourbon has been putting together.
Bourbon.
Yeah, they've got like the outdoor space. They've been kind of making an outdoor gallery, pop-up gallery. Sound Bites on the 1400 block's been doing stuff. You may see some stuff in the Arcade Mall at some point. We're starting to work with individual visual artists to do pop-ups up and down the street, and then all the way up to like in front of Lula Drake and all that. They always have live music and dancing and stuff.
I want to see someone paint live. So
we're working on that.
I want to see somebody paint live.
Ashley is our president right now, and she works with the library, and she's been doing pop-up gallery stuff around town, and so she started bringing that into First Thursdays. And we've got a little bit extra funding this year. that rolled over from last year. So we're going to try to disperse it to artists to paint kind of up and down the blocks.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
And then one thing I really do want to plug is this program that we've been working on at the CMA. This is the second year of it. It's called More Than Rhythm, a Black music series.
Yeah.
Hosted by Dr. Brigida Johnson.
Okay, cool.
So Dr. Brigida Johnson is my partner in this program. I brought this to her a couple years ago, and we started working on it. We've secured funding, and we received a grant from the Central Carolina Community Foundation this last year to make every single program free. So
I'm there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we just had our first one of the final season. I'm doing air quotes right now. The final season. It was supposed to be a two season program, a 2-year program. We just had a program with Adia Victoria I guess it was a couple months ago now. And then our next one is in December. I think it's December 15th. If you're looking on the website.
Yep.
December 15th, I'm pretty sure is the date. And that's with Nicole Neely. She's a classical musician. And so she's put together an ensemble that she's calling I can't remember the name of it right now. I'm sorry. But More Than Rhythm featuring Nicole Neely is taking place in December. We've got another program happening in February with Mahogany, who is out of Beaufort. She's like kind of a neo-soul singer.
Okay.
And then we're pairing that with a listening party the night before during First Thursday. It'll be a soul listening party. We're having a whole month. Yeah, we're having a whole month of kind of celebrating soul music. So we'll have More Than Rhythm listening party on February 2nd, which is that first Thursday with DJ Lady Marauder.
Yeah.
And then
Lady DJ.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to have to go.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. And then the Mahogany Experience is the next night. And then we're watching 2 films. So there's a film called Soul to Soul, which is, I believe, in Ghana. So like
Accra,
yeah. So like Wilson Pickett and Santana and the Staple Sisters, all these artists went to Ghana. Yeah, and they performed a concert in Ghana right after its freedom. Yes. And so we're watching that film that month, and then we're also watching the film Claudine, which was put together by Isaac Hayes. The soundtrack was put together by Isaac Hayes and performed by a popular group of that.
Oh, yeah, Claudine.
Excuse me, Curtis Mayfield. Curtis Mayfield and Gladys Knight and the Pips sing everything.
Yeah, Claudine's a classic.
Yeah, so we're showing all that's kind of the month of February. And then we're finishing with Dom Flemings, who was part of Carolina Chocolate Drops, which is, I don't know if y'all know Rihanna Giddens. She's become really popular over the last few years. And Dom started the Carolina Chocolate Drops with her. And so he's this amazing music historian and, banjo and the gourd and like all these like crazy instruments. And so we're finishing off the series with him. So More Than Rhythm, a Black music series hosted by Dr. Brigida Johnson. It's awesome. We have some podcast episodes too. Part of the Binder podcast at the CMA. So
I love the Binder.
Yeah. So that's all my plug.
Hey, man,
you forgot about your socials. You got to drop the social media.
I was thinking, I didn't share my social with you earlier.
Yep.
I got this thing about telling people, or like if I keep my social stuff private. Right?
Okay.
So if I haven't met you in person, then I'm not accepting your friend.
Nope, I agree.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's
so,
good.
but yeah, right now I kind of want to change it, but we're gonna stick with it for now. My Instagram handle is Vermicelli Belly.
Bam.
And it's better than it used to be, y'all. I can't even say it though. It used to be, but
cleaned it up.
Yeah, I cleaned it up a little bit. It went from one to professional name Bame, and then I changed it to Vermicelli Belly. But then and then of course Wilson Bame on Facebook and all that. But yeah, I love that you guys invited me on. I've had a really awesome time. I mean, I'm sure we could sit here and talk for another hour. If you
but
I know, it's all right. So we went a little over, but we got to wrap it up, man. DJ and what? Skip, Miss Tamaya. Thank you, Wilson, for joining us. Childhood friend, man. Always a good guy. He's never done anything wrong.
We ain't talking about no soccer stuff.
We didn't even talk about any soccer
stuff.
Next time.
We used to play soccer together. There you go.
World Cup's coming up. I mean, mess with it. But we'll catch that up next time. I know we'll have another sit down with you and talk about some more things going on with the Columbia Museum of Art. So for everybody listening, just make sure you go to columbiamuseum.org just so you can check out all the events that they have up there. See if you want to buy tickets in for some upcoming events, especially for November 11th. We want to make sure we have you at Arts and Drafts so you can enjoy yourself, have a good time downtown, and see what is going on in your city. Again, this is the Hilltop Glove Podcast, signing off on this beautiful.
That's it for today's episode of the Hilltop Glove Podcast.
Make sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and other platforms.
Also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Hilltop Glove.